there was a shot of Brock Purdy smiling before the game, laughing. Fox cameras had this shot of Brock Purdy laughing on the bench before the game. And it was another in a line of images of Brock in which you see how crazy comfortable he is. I thought one of those was after the Minnesota game, where he was totally comfortable complimenting Brian Flores in a way that just felt like a really good NFL quarterback telling a defensive coordinator, you do a good job. Almost like I look forward to getting this opportunity again. If you were to box score scout Purdy today, 15 of 27, that's not great. 288 was good on my prize picks. Combined Brock and Jaden Daniels made 650 there. Prize picks code guy. I'll tell you about that later. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I think the fumble on the toss play to Jordan Mason got attributed to him too. It is so apparent how comfortable Brock Purdy. That is just what I keep coming back to. This was his 25th career start today. And statistically, it was, 15 to 27 is just not going to be among his best games. And there are still, as there always will be, as long as he's a quarterback, plays in which his lack of a elite arm show up. But I think one thing that really has started to stand out about him is not just how quickly he processes, but how his quick processing allows him to trust himself. And I think it shows up sometimes when he runs. One thing that every television analyst says, and it's correct, when Purdy escapes the pocket, ducks under a sack, pump fakes a guy, scrambles for a first down. And right now, I think one of the easiest picks for me every week on prize picks is it's always like 7.5 rushing yards for Brock Purdy. It's easy. I think I've hit it, whatever the number is on Brock Purdy rushing yards, 4 weeks in a row. And today it hit me watching him, like, because he's so comfortable just staying in the pocket, and quarterbacks leaving the pocket early is an absolute epidemic. If you watch college and NFL football, you see quarterbacks stepping out of the pocket and into pressure nonstop. Brock rarely, I know I love when guys evacuates the pocket when he shouldn't. And most quarterbacks do that. I've just been here so long. This feels uncomfortable. It's time for me to go. Somebody must be about to sack me. It's time for me to go. I think one of the reasons Purdy is such an effective scrambler is because a lot of times he is running where there is nobody. And I think the reason he's running where there's nobody is these routes have finished. And now guys are just like sprinting down the field. And it just opens up all of this space. And he can just pick, I'm either going to go left or I'm going to go right. In the flat on one side of the field, it's going to be wide ass open. And I'm just going to go pick up. It's a gimme. Think about how many times you see Brock run and how often it is just nobody in sight for 7 yards. Or all Brock has to do is make one guy kind of behind the line of scrimmage, right? So not a linebacker or a safety, but a defensive lineman miss with a little shimmy. And then he can use his sneaky athleticism to go get 7-8 yards. But I think where it starts, it's not the athleticism that starts it. It's his patience. And because he's so patient, the field opens up to him as a runner. And that is what hit me today watching him, that his athleticism matters, but just watch, whatever, you're going to watch Sunday Night Football. But there's 2 games Monday, watch Monday Night Football, watch college football. Players, when we talk about quarterback experience, I think what it really, like, I've watched a lot of Dylan Raiola, who's a true freshman at Nebraska. And he's got sidearms and he's got touch and he's got processing and he's still, he's a young quarterback still. So there's a lot to learn. But to me, the experience is only useful experience if a guy didn't spend his whole college career just running around. Purdy, and I know he had one run around crazy play today. He's got one every week behind the line of scrimmage where he goes backwards. And when he's on the move, especially when he's kind of moving backwards on the move, I don't mean backpedaling, but I just mean, Montana sprint right option, kind of back into the side. I think his lack of arm strength, that people get offended, or like, why are you a hater? And I don't understand the sensitivity to this. His arm strength, his lack of arm strength shows up in some spots. But his other stuff, his processing, his arm's good enough to be a franchise quarterback, right? It's not good enough to be a franchise quarterback without elite processing, which he has, and kind of his athleticism. But his feel, like, that's just the thing, is this experience, this thing about experienced quarterbacks really matters when it comes to pocket feel. Because you really hurt yourself if you leave the pocket early, and you kill your offense. If you wait and leave when you want to leave, now you pick the door, right? Brock, often when he leaves the pocket, he just steps up through, and then there's space. So, a couple of plays that really stood out. The first third down on the third drive of the game was everything I'm talking about right there. He had a really nice scramble around, got it to Kittle down at the 5-yard line. There was, on the second possession, they had a third down where he's running away. Oh, the pressure, I think, came off the right side. And he does the thing that he does a lot because he's solidly built and low to the ground, and he ducks, right? And the would-be sacker kind of flips off him. And then he's moving to his right, kind of going backwards, and he tries to get it to Debo in the right front corner of the end zone. And that's a really tough throw. That's a throw where I think you would see like Jordan Love's arm or Josh Allen's arm or Herbert or whoever. And that in that spot, Purdy can't really make that play because of his arm. But that's just a reality. Whatever, right? So don't say, oh, well, he hit that 55-yarder to Debo and you said his arm, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he crow hopped and they hit it. It was good. His arm is enough because he is really special at this other stuff. And the more you watch him, my theory, premise, whatever, coming into the year, and back to the person who said earlier, oh, it shouldn't be surprising that Ayuk isn't playing well. He skipped practice the whole offseason, basically. The whole thing coming into the year was, here's Brock. He's healthy. He's never had a full offseason as a starting quarterback with Kyle Shanahan. He should look better and more comfortable. And he does. And he, I think, has been really impressive. Week after week, he just looks like the times that he's really good, it's not an accident. Which is what backup quarterbacks look like. Even just bottom 15 quarterbacks. They just don't look the same. The 25th best quarterback in the league in any given year can hit the same throw that Mahomes can hit once. Mahomes just hits it 5 times. So it was just a really, really a game so much more impressive, I think, than the numbers. And watching Brock now week to week is really fun. It is really fun to watch him. Comment, his red zone interception was Jimmy-like. That from NorCal Refrigeration and HVAC. I thought that interception was largely, irrelevant. Double coverage to Ayuk. Yeah, not a great decision. Does he make that throw in a 13-13 game? My guess is no. We do see this now. You go back to the Ravens game. Was it the Ravens game last year? Early in the game, when they were still vibing, when he starts hitting, when he's like, oh, I'm hot, he really starts pushing the envelope a little bit. But I think that's pretty natural human. If you are not doing that, you are really fighting human nature. So I think the simplest thing to say about Brock is don't look at the stats. Just watch him and watch all the other quarterbacks play. And tell me, does he look like one of the best of them? And the answer is yes. I think it's a pretty inarguable, drama-free. If you want to debate, well, the offense and Kyle and system and blah, blah, blah. Okay, we could debate it. But just if you watch the games, who looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? Every single week, Brock Purdy does. With not an elite offensive line. And I think one of the things that's really impressive about Purdy is for all the offensive line stuff we talk about, he is planted back there in the pocket. He's not thinking, it's not in the back of his, he doesn't play like a guy who is concerned that he's about to get hit. He has good awareness. Sometimes he waits too long, but for the most part, which is hard. Like these guys are fast. They're big. They're strong. So there's so much. It's hard to tell when you're in this game where you're like, none of this matters. None of this matters. But let's take a shot here. I'm throwing him up to Jennings and it's working. I'm throwing one up to. He did a YOLO to Jennings, a YOLO to Kittle, deep ball to Debo. Let's get Ayuk in on this act. Yeah, it didn't work. All right, well, whatever. We tried. And I don't know if he's thinking this or if he'd even admit it. There's just so much going on. You're just running around. This is the kind of thing that somebody like me cooks up and says. But I'll say it because I wonder. Is that one of those where he's like, yeah, I threw a pick, but the big picture, I'm showing Ayuk, I'm trying to get him the ball. And that's worth something too. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that you have enough. You probably don't have enough time. We had a quarterback here. He'd probably say, I don't have enough time for that. I'm just trying to make a play, man. But, I do wonder, is there some value in trying to show Brandon Ayuk like, hey, bro, let me, I know I threw a pick. Hey, I trust you, right? That's the kind of thing after the game, Purdy goes up to Ayuk and says, whatever. I'll throw it to you next time. I'll try you again. I'm not going to stop throwing it to you. Maybe. There is something to that, especially in a game like that where you can get away with it.